Okay, we're continuing what we began yesterday and the day before, talking about the Jewish people getting out of Egypt and how the purpose of going out of Egypt was to reveal the essence of God in the world, and that was accomplished by Moses, Moshe. And King David, put this beautifully in his book of Psalms, in Psalm number 90, which is called a prayer of Moses, the man of God. And this psalm ends with the words, may the pleasantness of God be on us, and our handiwork will be permanent, and may our handiwork be permanent. It says it twice. So the Rebbe says this psalm begins with a repetition, and it ends with a repetition. It begins with a repetition saying, a psalm for Moses, the man of God. Just say it's a psalm of Moses. What is it? The psalm for the man of God. We know that Moses is called a man of God. It says so in the Torah. The Torah was given 400 or 500 years before King David wrote the Psalms. So it says already that Moses. Why does that say Moses, the man of God? And why in the end of that same psalm does it say that it says our handiwork will be permanent for us, and the handiwork will be permanent? Again, at the last sentence of that psalm number 90, it has another repetition. So the Rebbe says, okay, let's take the first repetition. First of all, why does it say Moses, a man of God? It says, because these are three different levels of Moses. It says Moses ish Elohim, that Moses was a man of God. Three levels. Moses is the essence of Moses. Moses is essence godliness. Like it says, Moses, the name Moshe comes because Moshe was drawn out of the water. Moses was drawn out of the water. It says the water represents a lot of things, but in this case, it represents the deepest, most concealed aspect of godliness. Water hides everything inside of it, right? So that's the deepest. So Moshe is drawn from the essence of godliness, and he came into the world as an ish, a person, and between this essence of God and how Moshe is in the world physically is Elohim, is how the aspect of God is relevant to the world. So it's three aspects of Moshe. The essence of Moshe, which comes from the essence of God. That's Moshe. He was drawn out. Elohim, that's godliness, how it's relevant to the world. And Ish, that Moses was a person like every other person. He had a wife, he had children. He ate, he slept, he was a normal, regular person until God, he had a job to do. Then he went up on Mount Sinai, and he didn't have a wife, and he didn't eat, and he didn't sleep, and he was just Elohim, or he was just Moshe, with whatever level he reached up there. I guess he reached the level of Moshe, the essence, Moshe. Okay, to know that there could be such a person in the world is very amazing. I mean, now I understand it's very popular. I know when I was a kid, it was popular, even though I have to admit I was never really so much into it. But there was, Superman, Batman, and whatever it is, the other men. There was Batman. There was also, I don't remember. Anyway, there was all these. Nowadays they have others. They have the Fabulous Five, and they have the Hulk, and they have the this and that. People, human beings that have supernatural powers. Ooh, supernatural powers. This is not like me and you. These are like super people, huh? Super people, and they can fly, and they can jump, and they can do these things. And what is their goal? To save the world from destroyers, from evil people, from people that are evil. And a lot of times in these things, nowadays it's becoming less and less clear what exactly is evil and what exactly is good. what exactly is, good and bad? Is it good to steal? Is it good to kill? No, no, of course not. Well, all the Palestinians, right, the so-called Palestinians, they killed like a lot of people on October the 7th. They killed their own people. They killed. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. What about stealing? What about stealing? Right? To steal is bad. To steal is good. All these nations are in Africa, especially all these Boko Raton. They kill people and they steal everything and they rape women and they do. But that's okay. That's okay. The United Nations doesn't bother them. Doesn't bother them. Right? So is it bad to do these things, or really it's not so really clear? What is good and what is bad nowadays? What's what? So that's what. So that's what Moses did. Moses was a Superman. Superman. What was he a Superman for? What? Not to do miracles and things like that. To show what is good, what's absolute good, and what's absolute bad. To bring the Torah into the world. What is absolute good and absolute bad? Maimonides says that all the miracles that Moses did not prove anything. Didn't prove anything. Moses brought water from a rock. He brought this from they put 10 plagues because that was what the Jews needed to get out of Egypt. There was no other choice. So he did it for them. But he said a magician could have done the same thing. That's what Mamba. Maybe there was no magician like Moses. So Moses was a super magician. He could do. What was the essence of Moses? The essence of Moshe was that he brought the Torah. Moshe brought the Torah. That's what he means. He was a Superman. Moshe was a Superman, that he was able to bring absolute, objective truth into the world. That's what the Torah is. And of course, there's a lot of copies of a lot of this. That's Moses' big thing. Well, that's he used his superpowers to do, was to bring, and not only that, to bring the Torah to the Jewish people. And the Jewish people, they didn't even want it. They didn't want it. Moses had to pray to God not to wipe them all out, the Jews. So Moses had these, he had to bring the Torah give it to the Jewish people that didn't even want it. So he had to convince the Jewish people that they wanted it, and then he had to convince the Jewish people to try it again. So God said, okay, I'll give them the second tablets. So Moses had a very, very difficult job to do. And that job is called revealing the essence of God in the world. According to this, now we can understand the end of this Mizmor. It says the work of our hands should be permanent for us. The work of our hands should be permanent. Now let's understand. We explained the apparent repetition in the beginning. Moshe, Ish Elokim. It's talking about two levels. Moshe is essence, and Ish Elokim is how Moshe brought God into the world. Now, what about the end of Psalm 90, which this psalm is devoted totally to Moses, right? That's a song. Kavan Eitzel Moses, since by Moses, then Moshe was the one that joined. He's a mamutza, a mechaber. Moshe, he joined godliness to the world, so to speak. Moshe was nothing in himself. He was just a go-between. He was a connector. As Hayu Shnei Inyanim, because Moshe had these two aspects of Moshe. Moshe was one, Ish Elokim is the other one. Shalochi, and therefore, Yeshno, it's a Moshe, there was by Moses below this idea of being eternal and set. The power of infinity was revealed. Now, again, I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll say it 1,000 more times. Adam, the first man, was created to live forever. He was supposed to be permanent, and his job was to make the world permanent. And all of his offspring, namely me and you, and every other person in the world, would be permanent. Our lives would be eternal. Every second would be brand new. We would never be bored. Every second we'd see the miracle of creation that God is creating us. It would be permanent in this world, like a holy temple. But it didn't work out, as we know so well. And Moshe's job was to reinstate it. Therefore, Moshe, because he was connected to the essence of God, like Adam was, but his job was to fix it up, not like Adam did. So therefore, everything Moses did was eternal. Kamarubas, like it's explained in the continuation of the Psalm, Me'on atah talanu bedor bedor. God, you were a sanctuary, you were a how do you say a palace, whatever, for us for all time. B'terem harim yiladu, before the mountains were born, you were. Me'olam v'ad olam, from forever and forever, you are God. Ki elef shanim, because 1,000 years in your eyes is just like yesterday. That's the Psalm. Look in Psalms 90. Should I look it up? We should look it up. Maybe we'll do it. One second. So is drawn down the eternalness of Moses. Also, the same thing was drawn down into Moshe Ish Elokim. Because God is eternal and God is unchanging and God is permanent, and Moses was a man of God, so it was drawn down to Moshe also. Because Moshe was totally surrendered to God. That's the nitzchius b'Moshe atzmo, that Moses was eternal. It says that Moses did not die. It says there's a Talmud in the Gemara, and in Sota in the Talmud, it says that Moses didn't die. Listen, if he was about Mount Sinai and he didn't eat for 120 days, right? 3 times he went, 120 days he didn't eat and didn't drink. 120 days. And the Jewish people, even 1 minute of this revelation of God that Moses was there for 120 days for, they went crazy. So their souls went out of their bodies. They said, Moses, you get the Torah. We can't take it. So we see that Moshe, he went up there with his body. So it must be that, this is he's impervious. It's a word impervious, that he is that's a good word, impervious to death. I looked that word up. I hope it's the right word. That he is immune to death. That's why he's called Moshe Ish Elokim, because he was totally devoted to God. Therefore, it says that Moses wasn't relevant to death, like we just finished learning. Now, in the time of exile, where there's death, therefore we eat moror, which moror is a battle against death. But in the future, we won't have to do this battle. And in every generation, because there is a representative of Moses, Nosef al Bechinas Moses, in addition to the fact that in every single Jew there is a aspect of Moses. The whole world is inside of every Jew. So every Jew has a little Moses inside of us. Huh? Every Jew also has a little Amalek inside of us and a little Haman also. That even what Moses did in the physical world were eternal. And therefore, Moshe had the power to draw down God's presence in the world. By means of what? By means of his prayers. And what was the prayer of Moshe? That's what it says. Yehi Noam Hashem Aleinu. That's this prayer, Psalm number 60. Psalm number 90. It says, may the pleasantness of God be on us. May it be God's will that the Shekhinah should rest and make what we do, our handiwork, permanent, in a way of konanu aleinu, the kaviyut, the door, permanently. Meromezes, this hints at the eternalness of the holy temple, the third temple, which will never be built. The third temple will be built by God, and it'll never be destroyed. The same thing as Moshe. It says Moshe never really died. To us, it seems that Moshe died because we have eyes that can't see eternal. We can't see eternal things, but it's really there. It says the third temple is already made. It's already ready. It's just waiting to come down. Yeah, really, where is this waiting? Where is it, right? Why has no radar detected this holy temple somewhere? There's a big building somewhere floating up. That doesn't make any sense. Where is it? Where is it coming down? So the answer is it's there, and who knows how many hundred thousands of tons it weighs, but we haven't got eyes to see it. Our eyes are not permanent. Our eyes are relevant, more connected to death and connected to the physicality than to the holy temple, which is permanent. And we can't see permanent things. We don't even know what it means. Right? When you say to somebody there'll be eternal life, people live forever. People say, wow, that's pretty boring. What are we going to do? Eternal. What's that mean? We can't even conceive of what that could possibly mean. But a little bit we can. A little bit we can. How can we, Cass? When a person experiences something that's true love, true beauty, sometimes you hear music, you hear something, you're not thinking about time. You're just totally devoted, right? A woman with her baby. That's true love, right? That's true love. A thing like that, a person, at those moments, those are eternal moments. They pass away, but at that moment, it's eternal reality. And that eternalness of seeing every moment as being born brand new is believe unlimited. So we'll have infinity in the physical world. That's number one. That's because of what? Because of the Torah and because of Moses bringing truth into the world. Again, the purpose of the Torah is not to take us into heaven. That might be a byproduct, but that's not the purpose. The purpose of the Torah is to make this world much, much more meaningful and holy and happy than heaven is. The physical world. That's why God put the Torah in the physical world. This eternal revelation of God puts strength into our handiwork. That even the physical things we do will radiate and how do you say godliness, permanentness. So that's what it says. Shehu mechazeket ma'aseh themselves, namely, shehakonaneu choder. Not only will God be revealed in the world, but the world itself will radiate even the physical things in the world, not just in a way of konan aleinu, that godliness will be revealed on us, but the physical world will be holy. The physical world will be what it really is. A creation of God. God wants it to be here. That desire of God will be revealed in everything. Like I said before, the world will be transparent. This will be yumtuk, bekefel, and this is especially stressed by the repetition. It's repeated. This generally shows that it will be in a way that really is genuinely permanent, not just that it could be, or for like at Mount Sinai, temporarily things were good. It'll be permanent good. Kaflaim l'toshia. It'll be a double salvation. It won't be just not just when it says it'll be double, not just it means twice, but it means it'll be even more than twice, doubled and redoubled. Kefel the gula needs a future redemption. When it says that things will be doubled, it doesn't mean that it will just be twice and that's it. It means that the nature is that they'll be doubled. So whatever you see, it'll be doubled. So things will last long. That revelation of God, which is in everything, will be doubled. How can you have double infinity? Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. But it'll be doubled. Okay, so I got double infinity. Oh, now that's going to be doubled too. How can it be doubled infinity? It says, no, not just doubled. It'll be doubled and redoubled infinity. This whole business doesn't make any sense. It says that's exactly the point. It doesn't make any sense. The fact that you think that everything makes sense, is because you're only grasping the superficial, external aspect of everything. What meets your eye. And what meets your eye dies, goes away. But we can't see any deeper than that. But in the future, when God is revealed, we'll see the true godliness in everything in the world. Everything's being created by God. We'll see it and feel it. And especially when we do things according to what God wants, then our actions will really reveal this godliness. Just like we finished learning that by eating matzah, it says reveals the essence of God. In more detail, like what Rashi says, Shnei pamim u'ma'aseh yadeinu kananu. It says twice. Rebbe Shlomo Yitzchaki, he explained every aspect of the Torah. So he explained also the good Talmud, and now he's explaining Psalms. So that what it says in Psalm number 90, the end of it, it says 2 times that our handiwork will be permanent. Rashi says one is talking about the Mishkan, the tabernacle, which had birchan the Israel, that God gave a blessing for the Jewish people, that they should pray, and that God's presence would be on the handiwork of Moses, and that the tabernacle would be permanent. And the other one is Sheta'ei Bracha, that there will be a permanent blessing on everything that the Jews do, not just on the temple. According to this, we can say that this doubled and redoubled, this hints at the double blessing of Moses, that his work, his handiwork, whatever Moses did, would be eternal. Whether we're talking about holy things that he did, whether we're talking about Ma'aseh Yadeinu, even in impermanent things, even in mundane day-to-day things. All of your deeds, all of your actions will be permanent. That even though these deeds are attached to the world, how you eat, how you drink, how you put on your shoes, but you will put holiness. Moshe was able to permeate these things, also this eternal truth. Ma'aseh Yadeinu konaneu. And to add on, that's the prayer of Moses. This is a part of Shabbat. This is one of the prayers that we say on Shabbat. On Shabbat. One of the Psalms in our prayers. Al Pizeh, according to this, we can understand that this prayer has a special connection with Shabbat. What is Shabbat? Now, Shabbat is really weird. Non-Jews are not allowed to keep Shabbat. Non-Jews are not allowed to keep Shabbat. It says there's a terrible punishment awaiting for a non-Jew that keeps Shabbat. Non-Jews are supposed to work 7 days of the week. I still have a question which has not been answered to me yet. Like Henry Ford revealed that if you give a person 1 day of rest, that he can work better on the other days. So if that 1 day of rest is in order to enable you to work better, are you allowed to do it? I don't know. But in any case, what I know is that non-Jews are not allowed to keep Shabbat, not to make 1 day, any day of the week, and say, this is God's day. This is the day that God gave us. And non-Jews are supposed to pray. Non-Jews are supposed to be spiritual people. And non-Jews are supposed to be kind. They're supposed to love God. They're supposed to love each other. The 7 Noahide commandments are only prohibitions. There's also positive things. There's 30 positive things, it says. In the Talmud, there's a little bit of a difference of opinion of what these are. But nevertheless, non-Jews are not supposed to keep Shabbat. Shabbat is only for the Jews. Why? What's the big deal? Why only for the Jews? Why? For the Jews, Shabbat is one of the days of the week, right? It's the day that we give testimony that the whole creation is from God. That's relevant to the non-Jews, isn't it? It says, no. The Jews have a special understanding, a unique realization of what God is. And especially that God deals with details, that every detail of the world is precious and is created by and is meaningful to God. Every person is important to God. This world is tremendously important to God. That's the God of Israel. All the other religions say you're going to get out of the world is terrible. We're going to go to heaven, and heaven is the place. That's the goal, going to heaven. And Judaism says, no. That's not. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. And that's proved by Shabbat. It says by Shabbat, we appreciate the fact that God is creating the world. Shabbat is not just a spiritual day. It's a world day. It's spirituality in the world. It's not a preparation to go to heaven. It's a preparation not to go to heaven. It's a preparation that heaven should be in this physical world. That's Shabbat. According to this, it's understood that this prayer is especially of the prayer of Moses, especially relevant to Shabbat, especially in the prayer says Mizmor Shir L'Yom Shabbat. We say that's the 2 psalms from here. It says that 11 of these psalms, starting from this one until Psalm 100, so Psalm 100 are all written by Moses. So it says that Psalm 890, Psalm 90 is a prayer to Moses. Psalm 92 is a prayer for Shabbat. Is a prayer for Shabbat. This is a part of, like it says, that and Moses came and Moshe v'chidshu et shemo mizmor shir l'yom Shabbat. That Moses repeated his name in mizmor shir l'yom Shabbat. Where is Moses' name over here? It says the first letters, the initials, Moshe, Mizmor, Shir, HaShabbat. The first letters of Moshe. So Shabbat has a special connection to the Jews and a special connection to Moshe. Yesh Loma, we can say that the connection, according to Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, the rabbis say, Iska de Shabbat kaful, everything on Shabbat is doubled. And they explain why there's 2 loaves of bread, etc. There's Zachar v'Shomor, you have the commandments of Shabbat. When God gave the commandment of Shabbat, as when Moses repeated it in the book of Deuteronomy, the 10 commandments, he repeated it. So the first time, when God said it, it said, remember the day of Shabbat. When Moses repeated it, it said, I'd say, protect the day of Shabbat. Shomor et Yom Shabbat. They say, hey, what's going on? How many times did God give the 10 commandments? It says that the Jewish people heard both together. Zachar v'Shomor b'dibur echad. They heard together. And the prayer of Moses, this is a prayer of Shabbat. So if there must be a special connection to Shabbat. Everything here's this, because everything on Shabbat is doubled. It's explained in many places that the doubling is 2 different levels of Shabbat in every Shabbat. There is the beginning of Shabbat, the nighttime, which begins Shabbat, Male Shabbata, and then there's the daytime of Shabbat. Menucha be'erech yagia, there is resting from the work that you did. You stop working in the day. Stop working the day you worked 6 days. Comes the night of Shabbat, you stop working. That's one type of pleasure. Then there's another type of pleasure of resting in essence. Like the difference between the name Elohim, that's connected to the world, and the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that's the essence of God. Like we said, Moshe is connected to the essence of God, and Elohim is connected to the world. On Shabbat, both of them come together. We both rest from the work. In others, we let God take everything over. And then the daytime of Shabbat is pure godliness. God is not taking over anything, just pure godliness. That's what Shabbat is, to show that the world is pure godliness. Not just to show that we don't have to work on the world anymore and purify it. Yeshloma, we can say that this is like the double that we had to Tefillah LaMoshe, Ish Elokim. Moshe is pure godliness, that's Havaya, and Ish Elokim is the name Elokim. And at the end it says, may the pleasantness of God be on us. That's pleasantness of pure of godliness be on us. That's the pleasantness, which is the level of Shabbat. And then it says, this is the the resting from our handiwork. So in other words, on Shabbat, it stressed two things. First of all, we're not doing any work. We're not doing any work. That's one type of resting. And the other type of resting is we are totally devoted to God. Two types of resting. That's what's called menucha be'etzem. Resting essentially. Listen, when you realize that you're being created by God and that everything is in God's hands, so it's a different way of looking at things than just saying that God helps us. God helps. When you see that everything is in God's hands, everything, then you become a person like King David. That every second you just want to do what God wants. You're just like the hand of God. You're not thinking that I'm doing things and God is helping me. You're thinking I'm just helping God. That's all I'm doing. And that's a higher level of unity with God. That's menucha be'etzem. So that it comes out that everything that you do, even your handiwork, even the weekday things you do, also become permanent. This all is given. We get the power to do this from Shabbat. And when all the lech techa asuya, then everything is done. Shabbat is like Moshe. It's connected to eternal, to something which is unending, infinite. Ki yadua, like it's known, that every Shabbat there is something like the arrival of the days of the Moshiach, when everything is going to be totally devoted to and reveal the Creator. Then everything will really be activated. God wants an active world. He doesn't want a static world. He doesn't want us to go to heaven where there's no challenges, there's no difference. He wants us to be in the world and constantly make more and more meaning in everything in the world. Then there'll be an eternal, how do you say, peace. And again, eternal peace does not mean that we'll be dead. That we'll be just like zombies walking in this eternal bliss floating on clouds or something. It means we'll be active. We won't sleep. Every single instant will be filled with energy, like Moses, like King David. The Haga'ula and the future redemption will come by means of Mishamrim. Every Jew will keep 2 Shabbases. What does it mean, 2 Shabbat? It says that the Tanya explains these 2 levels which are in each and every Shabbat. One is the external aspect of Shabbat, that we act differently, but the internal is that we feel totally differently on Shabbat. We feel the essence of godliness, how real it is in everything in the world, and how unreal all of our imagination was. We see that the world is an amazing miracle. That's the idea of Shabbat. Everything glows. Everything is up. But unlike Shabbat, when we don't do any work to fix everything up, in the future, we will be fixing things up, but it'll be in a spiritual way. We'll be fixing ourselves up in a spiritual way. You won't have to, for instance, doctors won't have to heal people anymore. There won't be any more sick people. Also, what are the doctors going to do? What are they going to do? So there's higher levels of healing where people they stop being sick. They become more and more healthy. The Rebbe once said the one purpose of doctors in the future will be to convince people that they aren't sick. People won't be able to accept it. And doctors, listen, I'm a doctor. I'm telling you, you're okay. You're sick. You're not sick. You're healthy. So according to this, we can understand why the prayer of Moses is the 90th prayer. Why is it 90th prayer? This and much more we will explain, God willing, tomorrow.